All right, we're live. All right, we're live here with my co-host Amy Badass Lori Cote, and
Yeah, I
we're
was about to
also
say.
here with 2003 Lost Leatherface, Big Swag, Brett Big Swag Wagner. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, man?
Oh, not too much. I'm really excited to have you on. Everybody knows you as the Lost Leatherface. I think we'll touch on that, but you have a huge career of so many things you've been in and worked with so many legends. So we can start with.
I have been very lucky. Yes.
Yeah, you have. You've worked with some amazing people.
I'm just so excited to be talking with you. Okay. Yeah. I've been looking forward to this for so long. Ask John. I've been looking forward to talking to you.
Well, thank you, Miss Cote.
Yes, you said that right. Good job.
Yeah, she liked Cote. She don't like her. I changed her name on her, and ever since I said Cote, it's been stuck.
So that's her French Quebec family.
It's a fancy acting name. So we're going to touch on the obvious question because we started with the Lost Leatherface, and I don't know how much you want to talk about it, but I know you embrace it from talking to you from before. It was an honor. Like the scenes that you were in were really legendary in the film, and I want people to know which ones you were in because they were iconic scenes.
Yeah, so they from the beginning, they were looking when I was so probably 2002. I saw that they were going to hire like a local hire in Texas. They were looking for a local hire to play Leatherface, and I'm like, man, they're gonna hire some bouncer or some ex Dallas Cowboy football player who busted his knee. Now he's sitting at home, and they're gonna hire someone like that, which was I was like, man, you can't just hire some bouncer at a club in Dallas to play Leatherface. So one day I was walking into a commercial audition, and I saw TCM on the bulletin board, for we got to go to a studio, and then they'll have the name Pepsi or Carl's Jr. or whatever. And I saw TCM, and I called my commercial agent. I said, hey, would you call this casting lady and see if that's for Texas Chainsaw Massacre? And he did, and they were hiring, I forget what girl they hired out of LA, but I said, ask them if they haven't cast Leatherface yet. I would love to go in and just put myself on camera. And the lady was nice enough to say, sure, come on in. So I did a quick audition, and I said the same thing. I said, Mr. Bay, if you hire some bonehead who doesn't understand horror, doesn't understand, Leatherface, I said, what a mistake it's going to be. And then I picked up a girl running the camera. I picked her up and threw over my shoulder, and she screamed real quick. So, and then I was like, all right, I'll see you in Texas. And then 3 hours later, they called me back and said, Mr. Bay thought you were funny and you're hired. So we get to Austin. I think it was in July. It was like super hot. And, I was already 350 pounds, but they put all this more stuff on me to make me look bigger. And I got, during the first week of filming, on our first really big day, I got heat stroke. And so that was that. Like 3 days later, they had me replaced. But I got the first kill in the movie with the sledgehammer, and I got to kill Eric Balfour, and then I dragging him across the floor. And then, of course, I do the very famous Gunnar Hansen slamming the door shut, which was great, And problem was, man, my back was so hurt because once you get heat stroke, all the water and all your muscles tighten up. And when I fell down while we were filming because of the heat stroke, and I said, I got to take this mask off and get outside for a little bit. And I think I drank like 7 Gatorades. And then I said, all right, I'm good. Let's go. But when I tried to get back up, my back was like, so 3 days later, I kept calling the transportation guy because I knew eventually they can't wait for me forever, for my back to heal up. And then on the 3rd day, they're like, I picked some big guy up, some big buff guy. And I knew right away, that meant, a couple hours later, I was going to get a knock at the door. And I did. And they said, hey, sorry, we can't wait, for you to heal up. And that's the end of the story. But I didn't talk about it very much because I was very embarrassed at first that I couldn't finish a movie, especially one that's, I'm a horror movie guy, right? So I got into acting because I grew up watching horror movies in the Twilight Zone and that was my passion. So all of a sudden, you're freaking Leatherface, man. That just doesn't happen very often. So today I look back on it and I was, it's cool. I was Leatherface for a week. I'll write a book and that'll be the title, Leatherface for a week.
Hey, just in the iconic scenes, like you said, slamming the door shut, and your kill was one of the best ones in the movie.
And I actually just watched that movie with my kids like a few days ago because 2003 was, that was the one of the best Leatherface films I think in the franchise. But just knowing that was you, that was the best. I mean, every time I can't watch that part. I'll be honest with you, I am a horror freak. But when you go in and you get ready to hit him, I'm like, I can't even imagine. You know what I mean? I start like panicking. That's the only kill that I can't watch in the film. It's just right in the back. You know what I mean? But
I can see why you get why you're working a lot. You're a good actress. I said you're a good actress. I can see why you're working a lot. You got it all heated up there. Yeah, the thing is that they were very lucky that in that was a pretty big production. I think it was 20, 22 million, something, whatever, 20 to 30 million dollars to shoot. I think it was $20 million to be honest with you. And for them to find Andrew to replace me real quick in 3 days was a pretty big deal. And, Andrew was, if you watch that whole film, he's the most brutal Leatherface there ever was. Would I have done that? Been as brutal as that? I don't know. I would like to think so.
I mean, I think what we've seen of you was brutal. I mean, really. I mean, you kick Kemper's ass. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the way the sliding the door is legendary. I mean, that's a legendary thing that you did, and that's enough to be proud of. I mean, I think you did great.
Well, from '73, in my opinion, when Gunnar does it, and to have recreated in the remake was one of my favorite scenes in the movie, honestly, because it's one that sticks out from the original.
Gunnar Hansen, so I got to meet him. So Dan Yeager, who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw 3D, good friend of mine, and he was signing at a show, and so I went to go see him, and I look over, and there's Gunnar Hansen, and I'm like, oh man, I got to go say hello. And we had the same agent, too, acting agent, and I got my acting agent because when I went into have a little meet and greet with them, I realized that they represented Gunnar Hansen. So I was like, hey, you know what? Nothing for nothing, but I got to play Gunnar Hansen. I played his role in the 2003 remake. And the guy was like, whoa, you were Leatherface? I said, for a week I was. And then he's like, well, I got to sign you then just on principle. So it was pretty cool. So when I met Gunnar, I told him that he was very nice. I told him, slamming the door and all that stuff and doing the first kill, and he was so gracious and so nice. And I had a couple pops that I was going to get signed, and he wouldn't charge. He said, I'm not charging you. I said, let me pay you. I want to pay. He's like, no way. You're part of the family now. Let me sign these things for you. And what a very nice, gracious man he was.
I've always heard amazing things about Gunnar Hansen. Just amazing stories by a lot of people that ever met him. I've never heard a bad story about anybody's encounter with Gunnar. And I wish I got a chance to meet him. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to. But like I said, he's definitely a legend. And what he did for Leatherface back in '73 or '74, it was amazing. I mean, that role was, to me, is really the first real slasher that there ever was, that I ever really saw. There were other, Anthony Perkins and Psycho and stuff, but that type of brutality was the first I really remember seeing like that. It was brutal.
Absolutely. Totally one of the first. I mean, so my first horror movie I saw was like Night of the Living Dead, Romero's 1967. And I think the second horror movie I ever saw was a fun, cheesy movie called Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which were both very, Night of the Living Dead is a very scary movie. But when I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the first time, I was like, ooh, geez, this guy is really...
And the thing about Leatherface, the thing about him that I love out of all slashers, and John knows this, is he takes time, with his victims. He doesn't just, stab him in the back or shoot him or slice him up with Ghostface, which I love. But he takes his time. I love the torture aspect that he has. And it's like he really, really enjoys it. And you really, really enjoy it, And I don't know. Leatherface, he's just my guy. He's just my guy. So you're my guy.
Well, you have good taste. That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I got so busy.
It was very awesome to play the part. You know, I was, like I said, the first probably 10 years afterward, I didn't even want to talk about it. When I got hurt and got sent home, I only had about a week at home, and then I got a movie I filmed in Mexico with Harvey Keitel, and I got, you know, and Scott Glenn. So that kind of took my mind off it. But I had to get rid of everything that was Texas Chainsaw related in my house because I didn't want to see it. And now I regret it because I had some really cool stuff that you can't get anymore that's worth a ton of money. And so now I start collecting again a little bit. And like I said, I embrace it. A lot of the horror movie conventions, you know, I've done a lot of horror movies, so I've been lucky enough to do just more than Texas Chainsaw. But they want you to come in costume, you know, and take pictures. So I recently had a whole outfit done. I got my mask done again. So
I love it.
yeah, so we'll be doing a lot of conventions this year and next. You know, we do full costume pictures. So what I'll do is I'll bring when I go to a new town, I'll buy a sledgehammer. And since that was my weapon of choice in the movie, so then instead of carrying a chainsaw around, I'll do the full picture costume with folks, you know, with a nice big beefy sledgehammer.
Now, if I come to see you, can you just like recreate it and just maybe smack me in the back a little bit?
Sure. No problem.
Just don't do it as hard as you did him. Okay.
You got it. You know, what's funny is I remember that sledgehammer we used. It was like some kind of rubber mallet at the end, but I was like, I could still hurt a guy with this thing.
Now tell me, I'm curious. I'm curious. Like when you did that part, I mean, obviously you're an actor and he's an actor, and it just looks so real. Like, I mean, obviously you didn't hit him that hard, but like, I mean, I just don't know. It just looks so like. How far did you get to where, like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it just looks like, obviously it's supposed to look like you hit him, but, you know.
Yeah, I hit him pretty hard.
So you did hit him pretty hard.
I hit him pretty good. But, you know, Eric, I think I remember, it's been so long, but I think I remember I asked him, I said, was that too hard? And he goes, no, it's fine. You know, he's a really good actor. He wanted it to look good, you know, so God bless him. There's a funny story I'll tell you. If you ever watch, it's not about me, but Dan Yeager, my friend who was in the Texas Chainsaw 3D, towards the end of the movie, I forget what the guy is. I don't know if it's the sheriff or somebody, but he's whacking Leatherface on the ground with this rod. And Dan said that guy hit him so hard and they had to do so many takes that he was black and blue. And Dan Yeager's a big guy, about 6'6", 330. So he was getting whacked by this guy really hard with this pipe or hose that had stuff in it. And finally, I think he said after 7 to 8 takes, he had to tell the guy, "Hey man, you're bruising me up. You're putting a hurting on me." But I mean, that's the nature of the game, right? We're doing physical horror movies. We're doing these movies that are very physical, even in acting and TV. And I got heat stroke. Tons of guys you can talk about. Ask Kane Hodder how many times he's gotten hurt doing movies, especially the Jason, the Jason roles and all this stuff. You get hurt if you're going to be do creature work. What we call a lot of the guys do creature work, where they're in the costumes all the time. They're not very big guys, right? They're tall, but they're very lean, and they stay in really good shape for that reason. Like Doug Jones, one of the most famous guys in the world to do creature work. He's really thin, but that guy's in really good shape, like doing yoga, like working out, because he's got to be in these costumes sometimes for 10 to 12 hours a day. You got to be strong. You got to be ready for it. And obviously my body that year said we were not ready for the heat in this costume. And so you got to be ready.
I mean, I know it gets really hot. I was doing a Jason film, and the guy, Cote Huskins, who was wearing he couldn't wear the mask more than like a few minutes, because as soon as he did, it's like he just started like instantly like pouring sweat. And I'm like, Jesus, like the things you guys have to go through just to do even one scene, like it's heavy stuff that you have to wear, and it's like really thick, and it seems really tough.
It is tough, but it's fun. Let's look at it. It's what I have liked to have obviously finished the movie and gone on to do the next one in 2006, the beginning. Yeah, I mean, but you gotta, either you dwell on that the rest of your life, or you and which is going to really bother you, or you try to move on and go to the next thing. Like I said, I was working a week later with Scott Glenn and Harvey Keitel in Mexico. So
You gotta look at the people.
you got to be. But one thing I can tell you this, especially if you love being in horror movies, even if you're Amy Badass Cote, right, who loves this genre, and I know you're working. I think we're going to be working on a movie together. I think, or something. I don't know, a little. But we'll work on a movie together sometime soon enough. But
It's just gonna happen.
even the girls that are playing Scream Queens and stuff like this, you got to be physically in shape, because there comes a time later on in life where they want the younger girl. Oh, I'm going to go get someone younger. I'm going to get someone. But, if you're in shape and you stay in good shape for the rest of your life for this stuff, they're always going to hire you. They'd rather hire somebody that's got experience. That's why a good friend of mine, Robert Patrick, still works all the time. I won't tell you how old he is, but the T1000 from Terminator 2, Robert Patrick is in tremendous shape, better shape than you would ever imagine. And
Well,
he keeps,
I do work out all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope, I'm 36 years old, so
you're young.
Oh, well, no. I mean, I feel old, but it is what it is. But what are you going to do? I do work out. So, I try to keep
Good.
myself in shape and, have a lot of work to do, but it's worth it.
It's tough as you get older. And I'm 54. I'm almost a double nickel at 55. And, and the Tyler Maines and all these guys. So a lot of these guys get, because they've done so well in their careers and working under masks and creature work, those guys, the Doug Tates of the world, they keep getting opportunities to do more and more and more because they stay physically ready and they, know how to do the stunts and everything else. So my advice for young actors out there is to get in really good shape, because you never know, especially if you love that horror stuff. I will still do a lot of my own fight scenes, my stunts, fight work and all that. But I really love a stunt guy, man. As you get older, those stunt guys, stunt men and stunt women, they're worth every penny they're paid. They should have an Oscar. I don't understand why we don't have Oscars for stunts yet.
I agree with you. I agree with you there. They work very hard.
Well, one thing I was going to say is with the conventions, there's guys like Tom Morga, who's I'm looking forward to meeting. He was in half the movie of Halloween 4, and it's a situation just like yours where he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. He hasn't over the years, but now people are finding out he was a big part of the movie, just like I think you were a big part of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I think now with the technology, the way social media works, it's a great time for you to talk about being Leatherface again and really sharing with the people the scenes you were in and the experience you had on set, even if it was for a short time. It's got to be something really special for you now to look back on.
Yeah, it's you kind of put it out of your head, but someone was asking me the other day, and I forgot it. They were like, I forget. The one thing I really remember is, so we had to go back and I had to finish that scene. We even put, and Eric Balfour is not a heavy guy. He's just very tall and lanky.
Yeah.
So me having to bend over now with my back fried to drag him across this floor. It was so painful. So we tried a couple different things, and then someone had a skateboard, so we put him on a skateboard. So I'm dragging him, and that helped a little bit. But the thing I remember the most, it's a little depressing, but I'm glad I remember it now. I will be able to bring it up for when I need to play a really sad guy sometime, is the drive back when we left the set. You put the whole cast and we're all in the same van, but I'm getting dropped off at the hospital. And I was like, oh my God. And you're sitting in there with all these actors, all these young actors. And you're just like, Jesus, man, they're going to drop me off at the hospital here in about 20 minutes. But that was that's one of the one things I remember. But, listen, again, all in all, it was a great time.
You got to play Leatherface. I mean,
right.
Come on.
Not many people can say that.
That's so awesome.
Not many people can say that, so I'm very glad.
No, they cannot. No, they cannot.
Iconic scenes too. I mean,
I do like the new guy. I can't even think of his name now. The new Leatherface guy on Netflix.
Andrew Burnham.
What was
he
it?
Just got announced. Andrew Burnham.
Yeah, Burnham. Yeah. So Burnham did a great job. It's weird because if you see that guy in pictures before Leatherface, he was a very tall, gangly kind of guy. So I'll be interesting to see him in person now to see if he gained a lot of weight or that was all the mastery of the costume and camera work.
I'll be seeing him in May, so I'm looking forward to that. But you've been in so many different things. You said you worked with Harvey Keitel. You worked with Danielle Harris, another Scream Queen, and Chop Top 2. Or Chrome Skull 2.
Chrome Skull, yeah.
I got the Chainsaw Massacre on my head. But Chrome Skull 2, you worked with Danielle Harris. You worked with Brian Austin Green and a few others in that movie. Some legends.
Yeah, Chrome Skull 2 was a very fun movie. They did, one of my big ones that I love doing, I got to do the remake of the Crazies with Timothy Olyphant in 2010, and that was one of my favorite movies. Because of that movie and the guy that did the makeup, Rob Hall, who's no longer with us anymore, but Rob, Fangoria magazine kept calling Rob, who Almost Human, who did the makeup and effects for everything on the Crazies. And they kept saying, we need a picture for the cover of Fangoria. And they kept sending them pictures that he took while we were filming and on the set, and they didn't like anything. And then he sent a picture of me in the makeup chair. And he goes, oh, we're going to use that one. And all they did was crop out all the background and everything else. And it's me doing this real evil snarl with my with all my makeup on when I was infected.
I love the Crazies. I love that movie. One of the best movies. One of the best, I think, just horror movies, really. I mean, I can watch it every day. I did for like a period of time. I mean, I know it's weird, but a very good movie.
Yeah, I loved filming that. I got to do, some full burns. Chris Carnell, who was a stunt guy who's no longer with us as well. Chris, really good, was really great to work with, helped me choreograph all my fights. I had a big fight scene with Timothy Olyphant underneath a truck. And then they came over and they said, hey, can you do a burn? Have you done burns? And I said, yeah, because I'd never done a burn before, believe me. But when I was told when I was a young actor, you always say, yes, I can do whatever it is. What do you need? Yes, fine. So then the guy looked at me, he goes, have you ever done a burn? I said, well, I did a burn on my arm. He goes, that's not what they're talking about, buddy. They're talking about you're going to do a full burn. First, you do a 3/4 burn all the way up your back, all the way up to here. And then you do a full burn. So he says, all right, I probably got about 10 minutes to explain to you what's going to happen. And then the expert guy, the fire guy, that's all his job is, fire stunt coordinator, the guy to come over and you put a couple sets of thermals on, then that are all gooped up, and then you put your clothes back over, which are all gooped up. And then the guy said, all right, we're going to light you on fire. When I say action, you're going to be lit on fire. And then, do your spinning around for about 10 to 11 seconds, count that off in your head, and then drop down and don't breathe until I tell you, because then they come over and put you out. So when Timothy Olyphant lit me on fire, but 10 seconds when you're on fire is a long time, and you don't realize it. I was going to say,
that must have been like a lifetime for you.
It was fun, but I'm holding my breath, and I'm like, am I counting right? Did I count past? And then you got to remember that I had to drop to my knees in a very confined space, and then fall to the floor and wait for them to tell me to breathe, And then they're putting you out with a fire extinguisher, and I'm like, all right, when can I breathe? When can I breathe? But it was pretty cool. I did that 3 times. That was awesome. I can say I've done that before, now on my resume, and
I'm going to have to go watch the Crazies again.
That's right. I don't know if I'd ever do it. I probably would do it again. I got a nice, big, expensive bump for doing that. So it was a bump we call when you're I think I got like 2,500 or 2,500 burn after that. Every time I did a burn, so I did 3 of them. So that was a nice chunk of change to make extra.
You did the first one, you could see you have experience in it now, not just burn your arm.
Yeah. Well, now I can say I do have real good experience at it. So
yeah, I've been burned. Have you been burned? I've been burned. Have you?
I've been burned on my motorcycle. Believe me, I got some nice marks on my legs from being burned bad.
I'm sure motorcycles. Oh, they're dangerous.
I got some nice burns I used to work at the newspaper, and they used actual brake pads for it, and it's real easy to catch your arm real good on that. It doesn't take long to take off a few inches of skin. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's some serious heat. But yeah, some of the other things you've been in Sons of Anarchy. You've been in Mom, Special Unit, NCIS. I mean, you've had a great career working in so many different shows. Like I said to other people, if you haven't seen them in one thing, you've definitely seen them in another because you've been in so many different things. It's
Yeah, I'm
incredible.
lucky. I'm very lucky that there's, the big redneck bad guy convict biker thing is still an in Hollywood. So yeah, it's I've been very blessed to work over 30 years of doing this, but it gets a little rougher and a little tougher when you get older now. So you gotta, just like as in anything, you gotta reinvent yourself a little bit, and so gotta go get new headshots and look a little different and start, acting like I can play the dad and still play the badass. That'll never go away, but you gotta, I want to work another 30 years if I live that long, so
You're still young. I mean, you're not. You're still young. You got plenty of time.
you're right. I'm 3 years younger than the crypt keeper there himself, so I'm lucky.
You're just young. 50 is the new 20. It's just the way it is.
Yes.
I'm almost 40 years old, and I'm like, you know what? I mean, it is what it is. I was born in the 80s, and that was the best time. In the end, there will never be another 80s. And so a lot of people can't say I was born in the 80s. I can say I was born in the 80s, and I love that.
I can't say that, but I did. The 80s were when I was in high school and growing up. That was a wonderful time. As I say too, there'll never be. The 80s was a wonderful time to grow up.
I was only 5 in the 80s, but I was still born in the 80s. You went to high school in the 80s. I'm jealous of you because I would love to get into a time capsule and just go back into the 80s, go to high school, because I'm constantly seeing people post about, the 80s in high school, and they're watching TikToks, and this is what it was like in the 80s in high school. And I'm like, that must have been so badass. That must have been so fun to be in high school in the 80s.
Well, listen, when I was in elementary school, right? When I was in like the 8th grade, I mean, that's when MTV came out, when MTV actually played videos, music videos. It was an awesome thing to do. There was concerts every single night going on in I mean, I lived in Los Angeles, right? So Hollywood was 15 minutes from me, 20 minutes. So at 16 years old, I was already working doing security at bars, but I was cruising around seeing everything that Hollywood and Burbank, California, and everything had to offer. It was a great time. Unfortunately, now it's those same places where I used to go and hang out are a little rougher and more dangerous. So it's tough. I would bless you for having 3 children in this time and trying to raise them. Very tough.
It is very hard. Yeah, it takes a lot. It's really hard these days. But speaking of concerts, I just went to the REO Speedwagon concert with my dad. Such a great time. And the singer really just sounds exactly the way he did. And I'm like, how do you still have so much energy? 70 years old. He sounds the same, had so much just passion. And I'm just like rocking out with my dad. My dad's there. And to have that experience with my dad was amazing. Cause I mean, I live in the 80s. I raised my kids in the 80s. We watch 80s films. We listen to 80s. My daughter, my 10-year-old can tell you any 80s song. I like them in that time. I realize we're not in that time, but I like them in that time. It was just better.
I agree.
So, yeah. I thought you would want to know that, Brett.
Well, thank you. I did. It's great. It's awesome. Look, I like REO Speedwagon. I'm also a professional MC, right? So I get up and I go MC a lot of big things, whether it's Sturgis. I've worked Sturgis for a couple of years, and I do monster truck shows. I do bike rallies. But when I'm working like at Sturgis, I'll be in charge of a stage. I worked at the Easy Rider Saloon for many years, emceeing all the bands. So introducing bands like Foghat and stuff from the 70s and stuff from the 80s, which I grew up with. It's always awesome. And I've seen REO Speedwagon half a dozen times back from when I was a kid to, recently is like 6-7 years ago. So still a great band.
Very, very good. Very good. I really enjoyed it. And, everyone had their blankets out, and it just almost seemed like, what was it, like Woodstock or something in the 70s? It kind of felt like that, even though I wasn't there. I had no idea what that shit's about, but it just kind of felt like everyone was just after COVID and stuff. Everybody was just together, and everybody was just united together, and everybody was just on blankets and drinking and having a good time, and it was just really badass.
That sounds like a great time. We just in Los Angeles, just over the last maybe 6 months, almost everything is open back up again, so we can go see concerts and go see some live stuff. My wife and myself, I think in what month is it? Is it May? Bozzy? So we're going to go see. I used to be in pro wrestling for a while, so I did pro wrestling for about 6 years. So we're going to go see Chris Jericho, who's a pro wrestler who has a rock and roll band called Fozzy. So that'll be our first concert in many years together over at the world famous Whiskey A Go Go in Los Angeles. Where as a kid, I used to do I worked the door there doing security. So
that'll be so fun. Yeah, I think in May my dad's going to see Kiss, and I'm trying to jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah, you got to see them while they're still playing. I know they keep saying every year that this is going to be our last year, and they always keep playing again. How much money is enough for the Kiss guys?
Apparently, they don't have enough yet.
So I know you've done. I know you have been in a couple of movies, right? Or you did the Jason. Tell me about the Friday the 13th movie you were in.
Well, it never happened just because I left because of the circumstances with the director. It just didn't work out. So I walked away from it. I actually will be in a Leatherface independent film during the summertime. So I'll be killed by Leatherface. So that'll be fun for me. And then I'm doing another film called Wrath of Innocence in like a month in Georgia. It's not a horror film, but there will be a lot of blood, just saying. So after COVID, during COVID, I was supposed to have a lot, but, a lot of it got canceled or just never happened because of COVID. And so I'm just now starting to, try to get back in the swing of things. And it is hard. It is hard because, with 3 kids and their schedules and school and stuff like that, kind of have to balance everything. But it's happening. What are you gonna do?
We lost our other host,
John.
John might have had to go to Tinkle or something. So that
he always
where do
puts
you
this
live?
nice picture up of Jason.
Where do you live?
North Carolina.
Oh, North Kakalaki.
Yeah, I actually was in California last year to do a Freddy Krueger promo shoot for film, Freddy Krueger film that I was on. So I was there for about 3 or 4 days.
I like North Carolina. North Carolina, I had a good friend of mine that just moved there, and the film I was supposed to go do. I'll be doing the Carolina Fear Fest next year. I know it's a big.
I know. I wanted you to do these. I want to see you. I want to come and meet you in person. That would be so awesome.
Are you back, John? You okay?
Oh yeah. I just had to check on something. I'm always okay. I figured you guys were doing fine anyway. It gave me a chance to go and run and do.
We've been talking a little bit.
It's all right. You guys have been interesting. I've been sitting back just watching the show, so it's been all right for me. But yeah, I want to see Brett in some conventions for sure. I think there's a demand, and I think people knowing that he was in these scenes makes it interest for any Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, which there are a lot, and a lot of people will put the remake right up there with the original. I do personally. I like them both. Those are my top 2 for sure.
So it's tough for me. It's tough because, like I said, I'm a horror movie mark, right? So in professional wrestling, if you call someone a mark, that means they're just the ultimate, that I don't care if it's real or fake. I'm a mark. I'm just a super fan. So I'm a very big mark for horror movies and that series anyways, before I was even in it. So, I mean, I love 1. I think I like part 2 better, part 3, my good friend Ari Mihailov's in that. It's excellent. Even the one with where Leatherface is a trans is a little bit different. The one with Matthew McConaughey and
Renee Zellweger.
Renee Zellweger.
What was that, New Generation?
Yeah, look at I think the acting in there was, Matthew McConaughey and those people.
Man,
They're so
he scared
great.
the shit out of me. He freaked me right out.
Now, there's
Okay.
only one that I think is the worst movie ever, and that was the one they did a year ago or something, or 2 years ago when they were kids, Leatherface as
I
kids.
hated that one too. I didn't like that one. That's the
so
only one
bad.
I have trouble
Is
watching.
that called Leatherface?
It is called Leatherface.
Yeah.
No, me and my sister watched that, and I was like, "What is this? What is this joke?" No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, so it's tough, but yeah, I mean, I love the business. I got to work, Phantasm, Halloween are two of my favorite movies, and that's, besides all the Romero stuff. Dawn of the Dead is the 1978 version is my ultimate movie. I still will watch that every year, once or twice, and Phantasm as well. I got to Don Coscarelli directed a movie called John Dies at the End, which I got to be in the first 5 minutes of it. Had a little scene, and it was so cool to I didn't want to tell him, but I said, you're a hero of mine. I hate to say that and sound like a fanboy, but I got into acting because of your movies. So
your fandom
and he was cool. He's such a really nice guy. His wife and him are so nice. I wish he would make more movies, but he is I went in to do ADR, and I'm sitting in there. Here's Clancy Brown walking out, and I'm like, oh my God, Clancy Brown's in this movie. And I'm like, this is just awesome. And I did my ADR real quick. And then Don was like, so what's going on? And he sat down. I'm like, wait, you really want to know what I got going on? He goes, yeah. I said, well, I wrote a movie, a script, we're trying to fix this script and get it out. And he goes, tell me about it. And I'm like, you really want me to tell you about my movie? And he goes, yeah. I said, okay. So I start talking to him about it. And he goes, that sounds like a great idea. I said, good. Will you direct it? And he goes, well, if you get to that point where someone says, yes, we're going to put the budget up for it. He's like, come talk to me. I'm sure we could figure something out. But one of the nicest guys in the world to work with. So, as a young kid to be wanting to be in horror movies and then actually getting to be in some pretty big movies and work with some pretty big horror movie directors and actors is pretty special. But like I said, as an actor, it's like, you got to keep working. I don't have any other skills, right? I can BS, I can host a radio show, I can go out and professionally MC stuff, but acting is what I do, and hosting. And so that's what I do. So you just got to keep plugging away at it. And I mean, I almost quit acting when I was a kid, when I started, right? Because it took me a year and a half to get into SAG. And I was like, I'm done auditioning for this stuff. I'm never getting it. I was already doing bodyguard work for bands and working some of the big clubs in LA and Hollywood. So I was like, well, I'm making my $90 cash a night. I'm rich. What do I need to go keep doing this crap for? So, and then I got I did a Tostitos commercial, and so I got Taft-Hartley, and I still got cut out of it, but that got me in the union. And, and it's a learning process. I still learn, to this day, and I've been doing it 30 years. So I'm still learning all the time. And, I learn a lot. I took all my acting classes when I was growing up and went to college and took acting in college. And I still learn just from watching a lot of my friends act and work, I can watch, and I love movies from the 60s and 70s. That's when movies were big. They were just big, huge movies with when we had real movie stars, when there was movie stars, not just great actors, but movie stars. And you can watch a Paul Newman, watch a Steve McQueen, and watch these guys from back in the day and learn so much about the craft. And, I especially if a director, because, you go and audition for something. Now we audition on tape like this on Zoom. Very rarely are you in person with somebody. So you only got one chance to really do something. I like it when you can go in and see people and the director could say, that's great. Or if they say, I have this in mind, then I can think about something like well, what did Steve McQueen do in this movie? That's very similar to what they're looking. I'll go watch that movie, and then I'll go read my lines and try to get as off paper, off book as much as I can. And then, you just go for it. A lot of the stuff is you have friends too. So I've been doing this a long time, and some of those people we'll just hire you and have a part. I got a part for you, and you get hired, and that's obviously always a blessing, and very lucky when that happens. But it's a constant push. Got to get new headshots every couple of years. You know, if you're not out there doing stand up or something, or working a crowd like I do when I'm emceeing and I got to BS with 20,000 people, you know, when I can BS 20,000 people at a biker event, it's not that hard when you're in a room with like 3 or 4 executives and a director. So
yeah, you
got
handled
to
the
stay
tough
busy.
stuff right there. So
as long as you stay busy or stay in class, you know, a lot of those old actors, right? They're still, you know, Robert Patrick, I know his acting coach. He's still got an acting. I mean, all these folks that they got, it's their business, it's their livelihood. So if you're going to be an actor, and you really want to be an actor, you got to give 110%, right? I would work bars at night and throw people out of bars, so I had my days free to go audition. And if I didn't do that, I mean, missing an audition is terrible. Back in the day, if you missed an audition, your agent would be like, you know, those people take it personally when you don't show up. So anyways.
Well, it's been, I mean, you've been acting so long, and now with movies that come, you know, you've been acting at the time where movies weren't coming out in the theater, and then like a month and a half later, they're out. It seems like there's a lot more acting jobs, but there's harder to find that right movie to get into now compared to before. Like you were saying, an old Steve McQueen movie, that was an event. An old Clint Eastwood movie, that was an event. Even a Star Wars, that was an event. Even up to the 90s where, you know, you'd have to wait till it came out in the video store, and you were lucky if you could get it when it first came out and get that extra copy to watch. Where now, you know, even Scream 5, it's like, it was just in the theater. It's out on streaming now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, that's crazy. Listen, you can, it's it used to be you did something, you had to wait a year and a half. You know, you're not even going to get it. And then after, you have to wait till months after it's been airing before you could even possibly, you know, because I want to get that footage of me for my reel. Now it's like, hey man, then we finished the movie 2 months ago and it's already at Redbox, and then it might be on HBO, or it's, you know, it's on demand now, and it doesn't come out to the movie theaters for still another 2 months. So
it's changed so much over. I mean, the last 20 years especially has changed so much. The last 10 years, it's just so different. Even the last 5 years after the pandemic, it's changed again. It feels. And it was nice to get back to the movie theaters. I really enjoy a movie theater experience. Now the popcorn and everything, it's a little expensive, but you know what? It's worth it to go, especially if it's a good movie.
You have to accept it. It's going to cost you a lot going to the movies. I mean, I took my kids to see Scream 5, and it was me and the 3 kids and my nephew, and I think I paid for everything was like $160 for popcorn and candy, and I was like, next time we're going to go to Dollar General and just get our damn candy there. Okay, just bring it in the purse, all right?
Just bring it in the Dollar General. I love Dollar General. In fact, you know, it's very funny. In fact, I went in for a Dollar General on Actors Access, which is a site you should be on. It's one of the sites you have to be on in LA, because our agents will submit you through Actors Access. So I look at the, you know, what's coming up, and I'll sometimes submit myself and my reel and stuff for stuff I think I'm good for that maybe my agent had. And there was a Dollar General commercial, and I was like, "Ooh, I want to get this Dollar General commercial," and I didn't. But I love Dollar General.
Next time. I do. I can go and I can drop a dime in Dollar General for sure. I love it.
I'm there at least once a week. I get those. I love spending the over $20 on Saturday. I save my $25 coupons. You spend 25, you get 5 off.
Yeah.
I love Dollar General. I still do. It's so easy to go in there instead of going to a grocery store or Walmart to grab a few things. Paper towels.
I mean, when I go in there, I go to the cleaning section, and I'm going in there for one thing. I end up getting 25 different things and spending, you know, $80. And I'm like, that's okay. I mean, when you get to my age, the cleaning section is like your favorite place to go. So, you know, I'm like, I'm getting up there. You know, I love the cleaning aisle. I love the candle aisle. You know, I don't care about nothing else. If I'm going in those aisles, I am good to go.
In my field, we're buying a lot of toilet paper and paper towels, and Dollar General is the place to go to get those bulk packs of Bounty, the quicker picker upper, and those rolls of toilet paper. And they got the best prices. And I never thought I'd be a coupon kind of guy, but here I am, couponing away. And yeah, I get it. It would have been as big as a role as any to get that Dollar General commercial, huh?
Well, a Dollar General commercial would have been a non-union buyout, but you still make a couple bucks. But then the key is, I love doing stuff where my friends will, because I travel a lot. So my friends in Iowa or Des Moines or New Orleans or whatnot, and all of a sudden they'll say, "Hey, I saw you on something," or I heard your voice. I saw a Bad Boy Mowers commercial and I heard your voice, So I get that a lot because I worked for this company for 19 years doing their voiceovers. So sometimes it's very funny. So a guy that works at general manager of Glendale Harley Davidson, which is in California, that's a huge, giant motorcycle dealership. And he was watching the Colorado Avalanche last night, hockey game. And he texted me in the middle of the thing, says, do you do voiceovers for a lawnmower commercial? And I said, yeah. And he goes, oh, I just heard it on the Colorado Avalanche or something on ESPN. So for me, that's great because now I can say, right, when I put up my resume, when I have my resume, I say, as heard on ESPN.
Yeah.
They don't need to know what it is, right? As heard on ESPN with Monster Garage, right? As heard on David Letterman, as heard on Jay Leno, all that stuff I can say. As heard on CBS.
Like I was
because
saying,
they had clips of Monster Garage and that,
people might not know you, but they've seen you or heard you somewhere because you're all over the place with what you've done, whether it's the voice acting, hosting. And I think that's really cool because now that people are seeing it, they know, hey, that's Brett Wagner behind there.
Well, you got to do everything.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, man.
If you want to be an entertainer, just like you, right? You do your podcasting, you do this. She acts and does everything. I mean, you have to do everything. And someone a long time ago, like I said, they told me when I first started acting, said, just never say no. You know how to fly fish? Yes. I got a commercial where I said, yeah, I fly fish, and they're like, great, you're going to do a Miller Lite commercial, and I don't know how to fly fish. So 2 days before I left, I had to go to I went to 3 different fishing stores out here. And I said, I'll give you $100 if you can teach me how to fly fish in your parking lot in the back. And so 2 guys said no. The other guy said, sure, come on out. So I learned how to fly fish in a half hour in the back parking lot of a Big Five. And, but you never say no. So I had an opportunity to do a couple different radio shows over my years. And I said, sure. I mean, I learn along the way, but I'll BS my way through it until we figure it out, so people may not know that I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, I hosted a drag racing show called Pastime for 7 years on Speed Channel. And in the beginning, I drag raced a little bit in the street, but I didn't know anything about it, but I knew how to host and give lines to a camera and talk, and we did it. And after the first year, we were very successful and good ratings. And then I learned eventually. And when the show was over, a year later, I learned how to drag race too. I went drag racing up in Canada for a guy and almost did 200 miles an hour in the quarter mile, which was good. But I just would have lost that 50 pounds. I would have done the 200 miles per hour. But so entertainer, got to do everything. If someone says, just like Amy, right? Amy's helping you co-host doing a podcast, a radio, you say yes to everything. You might be nervous, but that nervousness stuff will help you. If they say, Amy, I need you to go, can you come do the weather on Channel 2 News, whatever, you go, yeah, why not? You'll figure it out by the time you get there. But a lot of people, a lot of people will say no, or they get nervous, and that hurts them. Like when you go in for auditions, right? You may have a way in your head what you want to do, and then the director says, no, okay, can you do that? Totally opposite of what you just did. And people will be like, and then they do the same audition. Well, you got to be able to think quick on your feet. You got to be an improv guy. That's from the world of professional wrestling. I became a better actor after doing 6 years of being a professional wrestler, because you have to think on your feet with a crowd. I have to get a crowd to boo me or cheer me within, 10, 15 seconds. So if I can do that, like I said, when I go into a room to audition for somebody, it's a lot easier because I know how to manipulate 1,000, 20,000 people in a crowd. To manipulate 5 people in a room is not that hard.
And you've been doing
it is, but it helps. I don't want to sound like I'm so cocky because I'd be working a lot more if that was the case, but it just helps.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah, yeah, I've kind of found that myself. I think I wish I was more like I am now than when I was younger, because I'd be more reserved and hesitant and a little more restricted to what I was going to do, because you're more self-conscious. But now it's like, I don't care, kind of do it. I'm not going to get, my nerves don't get as much as they used to. I'm the kind of guy who never really thought I'd be doing podcasting or anything like that, or talking to somebody like you. And it's just, I've gotten so used to it and comfortable with it that I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun to me. And it's been really kind of a fun journey to go on, especially doing these conventions, putting on tables, having Amy co-host. I've had so many different awesome guests. I had Mike Levy from the Terrifier series. I got the chance to sit down and talk to Beatrice Bupley, who's Amanda Kruger. And you wind up becoming friends with these people, and you talk to them, and that's kind of an amazing experience for me, because that's something I never really thought I'd be doing. I started off doing what I was doing, unboxing masks. It's kind of just, before I knew it, I started doing podcasts, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a really exciting journey. So I can only imagine. We've been doing this for what, 40 years, you said?
I've been acting for, I started about 30. I started 30 years ago. So that doesn't mean I made any money 30 years ago, but slowly but surely I started getting more acting, because, when you're a young guy and you're a big, tall guy, and at 21, I started acting, and I was the tall guy with a flat top, and I was the new big guy in town, and had this boyish face. I would go in for a lot of stuff that I wasn't ready for.
Yeah.
Just real quick, a real fun story is I worked at this cigar place called the Big Easy, which was a cigar store. And I would come in and I would work at night. I'd work like 6 hours at night. So I had my days free. And Frank Darabont, writer, director, Shawshank Redemption, and a whole slew of other things at The Green Mile.
So
Frank would come in, he'd be sitting there smoking. He'd have his assistant. They'd be going over notes for scripts. And I always, hi, Frank, how are you? How are you, Brett? Good. One day I said, hey, Frank, I wish you'd put more rednecks in your movies. And he goes, well, are you an actor? I said, yeah. He goes, wow, give me a shit sometime, So I was like, all right. So I went out the back door, told the boss, I'll be right back. Drove 15 minutes, got my reel on a DVD, came with my headshot and resume, came back, put it in his cigar locker, and sat there. So when he left, he went to a cigar locker, and I heard him go, oh. And he goes, did you just drive all the way home to go get this real quick? I said, listen, when Frank Darabont asks for your reel and picture, I would have gone on a plane to go get my shit and bring it back to you. So, yeah. So he's like, okay, great. A week later, he goes, hey, I want you to tell your agent to call this casting director. I forget who it was. I said, yeah, I know who she is. And he goes, tell her I want to see you for this role. And the role's name, I think it was called Brutal. It's a movie I'm writing, and I think he might be good for this kind of prison guard guy. And I was like, oh, yeah, what's the movie called? And he goes, it's called The Green Mile. And I said, well, who's in it? And he goes, Tom Hanks. And I'm like, oh, shit, okay. So I go home. I got the script. They gave me a script. I'm reading. I'm like, God, this guy's like on almost every page. So now I'm freaking out, because then I realize it's Tom Hanks's right-hand man. And then which David Morrissey eventually was the character, and David played him. But, was I freaked out? Yes, but the opportunity, you never know when an opportunity is going to come, right? You go make your opportunities. If I never would have BS'd with him, I never would have got that opportunity. Now, I didn't get it, obviously, but I wasn't ready for that kind of role. Now I am. I'd be tickled pink and have a good shot at it. But you always got to throw shiznit up on the wall, and something's going to stick. You just got to be ready.
You can't succeed if you don't try.
That's right. Listen, you're going to have 1,000 doors slammed in your face on anything. It doesn't matter whatever business you do. It doesn't matter. I've read for, I went and read for something where my agent said, hey, there's a listing. They want a voiceover for this commercial where it sounds like the guy from Monster Garage. And I was like, well, that's me. Can you call him and tell him we can give him the real guy that does the voice for Monster Garage? And I still didn't get it.
Yeah. So you
So
got
they're
beat out
looking for me, and I still didn't get it.
I gotta ask you.
So the whole thing is like, look, you got to throw everything up against the wall, whether it's podcasting, radio, interviews on the street. It doesn't matter. You got to get used to a camera in your face. You got to get used to talking to people. And pro wrestling really helped me with that, because sometimes you got to go out. If something's wrong, the ring breaks, a wrestler gets hurt, they would say, Schwag, go out there and stall for 15, 20 minutes. Okay. So then I got to go out and start whipping the crowd into a frenzy. But all that stuff, it all helps. Doing a podcast helps. You get used to interviewing people and talking to people. There's nothing worse when I watch a TV show, especially if it's something I auditioned for, hosting wise, or I'm just Brett Wagner or the Big Schwag, and I see some guy that's terrible at doing interviews. And I'm like, damn it, I read for that. I auditioned for that part. And they went with this crummy guy who doesn't even know what he's doing.
I'm sure there's been a few
my
of those
2 seconds of bitterness.
Yeah, well, you gotta be bitter. If you're not bitter, it doesn't mean anything to you. And it obviously means a lot to you. Every part you talked about. Talking about Frank Darabont, I think he's underrated. In a sense, he's not, but he is, because he's done some of my favorite movies. You said Shawshank Redemption, one of my favorite movies. The Walking Dead was best the first 2 seasons, in my opinion.
That's right.
You know, it had some good seasons after, but I missed Frank Darabont a lot. I'm a huge fan of him. So, yeah, that's really cool. You got to meet him and everything, and that had to be kind of an honor. Do you still speak with him? Hopefully,
God, I wish. You know what? I used to have a cell number, right? Because we had his number at the shop, and and I was like, well, I see it all the time. I might as well put it in my phone. And then I think I did have to call him and say, hey, it's Brett from the cigar shop. And he was like, yeah. I said, am I making that appointment with that casting director for Tuesday or Wednesday? He's like, Tuesday. I didn't. I already knew when it was, but I just wanted to call and say, hear his voice on the phone and know that I have his right number. But yeah, that number changed. I wish. Yeah. When The Walking Dead started, and his name was executive producer, you better believe I scrambled and looked through every single one of my old phones, tried to call up everybody I knew that knew Frank, just because I wanted to audition for something. Never had the chance.
You could have fit some of the roles. I mean, it was some time ago, but I could have seen you being considered for, say, the Merle character at the time, at least when they were trying out actors. Even a zombie. You said it seems like you'd be happy even just being a zombie in something, because you were such a big fan of Night of the Living Dead and stuff.
Come on. Listen, yeah. I have a friend. I have Jeremy Ambler, is a friend of mine. Jeremy's the hardest working extra in the world. He was in our movie, The Crazies. He's been in Wrong Turn. He's been in so many movies, and he's the hardest working extra there is. And he lives in West Virginia. And he's been like 3 different characters on The Walking Dead, right? But he's got names. He's like the RB Walker, the this and that. So he goes and does a lot of conventions. I've done conventions with him because he's Jeremy Ambler from The Walking Dead. You better believe I would have loved, I don't care if it's being an extra. I don't care if it's being a featured guy. I'd love to be, if it's a movie you love or a TV show you love, it doesn't matter. I'll fly myself out for free just to be just to get in there and get the makeup on. And you can always make something of that. You can always make something of that, right? People don't, when you're on The Walking, I had a decent part on Sons of Anarchy, but the point was I was on Sons of Anarchy the first season, Johnny Yates, and I carry those pictures with me because there's tons of Sons of Anarchy fans, and they're always asking for pictures. So
it's a legendary show. It's a legendary show. It's something that's not going to go away, and your role in it's not going to go away.
I can see Amy Cote right there being on the Mayans right now, having her own Harley, cruising around, killing some folks.
Absolutely.
You said killing some folks, so you got me there.
So
Amy doesn't want to kill folks; she wants to be killed. Well, I guess maybe you could take out a few people killing them and then get taken out, because I know you're not happy.
I definitely want to be killed. I mean, I would definitely go with the killer as well, whether it was Leatherface or Jason or one of them. I would do it with them. I think it'd be fun. It'd be a fun adventure. But at the end of the day, I would like to get kind of thrown on a meat hook or something. Something.
Big Swag can do that.
I will get my stunt double to throw her up on the meat hook.
Oh.
We'll do to here, and then we'll say cut, and then the other guy comes in. We'll say cut, and then that guy can come in and do the rest.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right there. Horror School Customs, a friend of mine who that's what he makes a living doing masks and costumes for folks that do a lot of cosplay or do a lot of movies. I think he's done some. His name's Jordan. I think he's done some. There's a couple fan films of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Don't Walk in the Woods, I think, or something like that. And he's done all the costumes for Jason for that, and
my buddy
does
Steve
a lot
Merle.
of the Leatherface costumes. Great work.
Oh, here he is.
I mean, I love the mask. I mean, the hair is just like perfect. I mean, I absolutely adore
this hair. Now look at so that's real hair. That's human hair, right? So that's
wow.
This guy named Rufus. Jordan will do the mask. This is a Trick or Treat Studios mask. So Trick or Treat, Scott Stoddard, who did my mask and Andrew's mask in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. This was my mold. So when he did something for Trick or Treat Studios and he used my old mold, so this is known as the Wagner mask. So when I was going to start doing conventions, I could have got one like Andrew wore, which is, obviously 90% of the masks out there are what he wore. So, but Trick or Treat Studios had this, and I got them to redo it for me, and then got the real hair in there, which is great, human hair. So you can do whatever you want to it, tease it, and
straighten it, curl it.
Yeah. So we'll give Jordan some props there.
I just want to put it on. I just want to wear it.
Well, I think I'm filming in October in North Carolina somewhere. So, or is it Virginia?
Let me know. I want to comment. I'm gonna spray me that mask. Just bring it.
Virginia, but yeah, we gotta. And then, like I said, we'll be at Carolina Fear Fest next year, and I was gonna do a Carolina, Texas Chainsaw death metal show that's coming up. And I couldn't make it out there. I think it's coming up soon, but it's in somewhere in North Carolina, and it's all Nuclear Assault and all these big death metal, heavy metal bands that are doing a thing, and they have a bunch of horror celebrities coming in. And I was almost there, but couldn't get away on the weekend.
Next time.
But listen, Jonathan, Amy, thank you so much for having me. I can see my wife and my dog out in my corner of my eye looking at me because it's my night to take them to dinner.
Oh, well, fun. It was so nice talking to you, really. It was such an honor.
My pleasure. I'm sorry if I talk too much, John.
Oh, not at all. I've been interested. I'm fascinated by the whole conversation. I've loved learning a lot more about you. Next time I want to ask you about the Tosh.0 because I was a huge fan of that show.
Let's just go. Ask real quick. Let's talk about it.
So what was it like being on that show? I didn't know you realized you were on there until I looked, and I was watching the episode last night. Fell asleep when I was getting to your part, and I missed it. But you were the biker. That
guy is one of the strangest guys in the world. Very funny, right? But strange show. A couple of my biker buddies and me were on that show, and he's just a strange cat. But that's the type of thing where you just send in your picture. They hire you. I think it's scale. So it was like 800 something, 900, whatever it was for the day. You're there for like 3.5 hours. I rode my Harley in, went in, they shoot it real quick, and then you're out of there. So, made 900 something bucks for 3 hours and was on Tosh 5.0.
So basically got to hang out on your motorcycle with friends and got paid 900 bucks.
Yeah. All three of us got hired for that. They didn't even use the bikes. I think they had a walk by with the camera on the bikes. But a very talented, funny guy, but strange as hell.
Oh yeah. He's definitely he pushes the limits, but he's funny.
He does push the limit. But that's why he gets, listen, pushing the limit. That's how you get paid. Chris Rock pushed the limit. He gets paid.
He did. He did. When the five fingers say the face smack.
Yeah. But you know what? His concerts are every place he was doing a concert, they've had to add 2 more days. The prices have gone up $150 a ticket.
I heard
Yeah,
that.
but
Still one of the
he's
funny.
definitely sold out now. He's selling out.
Not that either of those guys need any money
What
at
do you
all.
mean? They're struggling. They're struggling actors.
Struggling. People think, well, he's done. Will Smith's going to be working till he'll be working long past me when I passed away.
Once all the smoke clears, you know how it goes. And even if he's never acted a day again in his life, I'm sure he'd be just fine.
He doesn't, but he's one of those guys that I don't know him personally, obviously, but he's one of those guys you can tell that needs to work. He just loves the work. He can't. It's like Hulk Hogan, right? Hulk Hogan should have been out of the wrestling business 20 years ago, but he can't not be in the spotlight, which is not a good thing. So he keeps coming and working in these companies, and these companies keep hiring him. And what happens is they push all the young new talent aside because now they got the old man in there, and it's Hulk Hogan. But an actor like Will Smith wants to keep working, right? He can't not stop working. That's how people, guys like that, stay right in the head. They just keep working. I'm the same thing. I would love to keep working, man. There's nothing worse than sitting at home doing nothing, because then all you do is watch TV or I read some scripts, and you got to be working. So the conventions is a great angle. So
you need to do another Leatherface film.
Well, I don't know if they'll ever hire me again to be in another Leatherface, but we could do something similar. So I do have one. We'll talk about. I do have one movie coming out, hopefully this year, called El Tonto. Charlie Day from Everything Sunny in Philadelphia. I don't even know which one it is. He's the director. John Malkovich, Ray Liotta, Kate Beckinsale.
Wow.
Ken Jeong. I can't think of the other guy. There's so many actors in it, and I get to play John Malkovich's bodyguard and limo driver. So,
well, congrats on that. That's awesome.
Man, we filmed that 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. So hopefully this is the year that it comes out. It looks like it's all done, editing and everything, and it's. I'm excited about that. And then, like I said again, hopefully I did a Spanish TV show for Netflix about the Vicente Fernandez, who's a very famous Mexican singer. So I got to do that just a couple months ago, which was great. Do an episode all in Spanish.
Wow.
So looking forward to that too.
Well, you're doing a lot of things and you're going to continue to do it. So I'm happy I got to talk to you. Like I said, it was an honor of mine. I was so ready and looking forward to this, show. And I'm just glad that I got to be a part of it.
Well, my pleasure. We'll run into each other, I'm sure, shortly, if not before the end of the year.
Let's make it happen.
Mr. Crypt Keeper, pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, it was a pleasure having you both. Thank you, Amy, again for co-hosting with me. Always a pleasure having Amy.
Thank you, John, for having me on.
Hey, who do we need to thank for getting me on here?
Oh, Michael Toth. That's what I kept wanting to say was, are you going to be bringing? His art is amazing, and I thank him so much. He's been an awesome friend. He's become the Doomsday's Crypt official artist, and he did the art that you see that I use in my for the Doomsday's Crypt logo. He's going to be seen a lot at these conventions. I got him on the table, and
Michael is an incredible artist that does his own thing, got his own style. I think I have a movie that I'm going to be doing coming up, and Mike's going to do a kind of a rendition of what I think I should wear, or kind of, and I'm going to show the director. And I've told a couple different magazines about you should do an article on him and look at his work, because
he's amazing. He's doing a lot of different things that we
amazing.
Yeah, like the light, the green, the black light stuff, and taking light stuff.
If he was in Hollywood or LA, Atlanta, somewhere else than where he is, we could put a store up and everything else, and he could be sitting in there selling all his work. It's that cool, and especially the horror related stuff. His genre is so amazing, and it's his own style. There's guys that there's so many guys like that make money at it. We just got to get the right people to see Mike's work, you know?
That's why I'm excited to bring him to the tables at the conventions. I got him
Yeah.
coming to Scala. I got him coming to Phantasm. I got him going to Crypticon. I'm looking into an event at Chicago I want to have a table at. So I'm hoping to have his artwork all over the place there too.
You
And
know,
it
I
should
will be in Midwest Monster Fest in East Moline in September, weekend of 17th. I don't know how far you are from
I'm
East
not far from
Moline.
Chicago. I drive through Chicago all the time.
Okay, so that's, I think then that's a couple hours from Chicago, so it's going to probably be closer to you. I don't know, but you should look at that. I'll send you a couple of flyers, and then next year, you know, hopefully we'll be doing a couple of the same, maybe Phantasm and some other stuff, and we'll all be hanging out again.
You said you were going to be in Kansas City in the near future too.
I'm going to be in Kansas City on June, honey. Oh, my wife's sleeping. I just probably woke her up. Let me look here. Hold on. You know what's crazy is I had to get a calendar book for next year just so I could start writing in dates because I'm getting old and I'm forgetting on stuff I have to do. So that is June. So June 24th.
I can't even remember years anymore. I mean, I got a year older and I just can't even remember years anymore. I'm still upset with myself. You know, anything after 1994, I forget now.
June 24th, 25th, and 26th, I'll be in Kansas City.
All right. So, yeah, I'll definitely want to catch up with you. Maybe I'll.
And that's a motorcycle show. That's a chopper show. The Gustero ride-in chopper show. So that's always fun. Kansas City's fun.
I'll be popping a wheelie on a moped show. You'll know it's me. I'll take off the muffler, though, so I'm real loud.
That sounds good, man. That's fine. We're all good. All right, you two. Thank you so much. I like the creepy T-shirt.
Yes, had to wear it.
That's cool. And thank you, sir. And we'll holler at you soon.
Thank you so much, Brett. Bye, John.
Bye. Take care, chat. See you later. Thank you guys for all the support. Steve Merlot's here. Thank you, Steve. I'm going to end the stream in a few seconds. I was trying to let everybody know Steve Merlot's campaign's coming out May 1st, I believe, his post-production campaign for the Sawyer Massacre, so make sure to check that out. Matt Fauci, much appreciated. Sabuana, Mike Camp, Crystal Cabin 6, Ben Robinson, all you guys who are here, thank you so much. Appreciate all the support. And I don't have anything. No, I do have something Thursday. It's I'll post it in a little bit. I got a few things lined up. My work schedule's been kind of crazy, so I'll be posting this week's live streams. I won't have anything Monday and Tuesday unless I do a random live stream, but I'm going to schedule Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and possibly Sunday this week. So keep your eyes open for that, and I will see you guys all next time.